Oh, well, we are live and on time, Sharon.
Yeah, on time for once.
Welcome, everyone,
That's
to the
good.
Big Condo Radio Make It Right Productions Compendium 3 live. Saturday Night Live. Blake doesn't like when I say that. Hello, Sharon. How you doing?
I'm absolutely fine. I'm just getting lots of messages coming up on the chat. There are lots of people waiting for the lovely evening to start. So we've got Irene, we've got
Well, I
Anne, and
mean,
we've got Ted.
yeah. Well, we've got to give it a little bit of grease because we were late last time. So maybe it's taking some people time to get in. And we had 10 excellent films to show people, and we want them to get the full experience. I just got to let you know that I'm in a strange kind of lighting situation. Oh, my lamp is kind of stuck, but maybe later I'll show you my special lamp lighter that I got going on here for those watching the voice. But what I will say is that tonight is a special night for Big Condo Radio because not only are we live here with the Compendium, a monthly event that we look to bring to you guys and everything, but we also are live at Par Street Studio 2. Right now, we have the music artists that we usually do because we've been starting our music shows of the Music Box, and we had premiered Juice tonight, the band show, but we have our artists, local artists, playing live at Par Street Studio 2, and it's already sold out, Sharon.
Yeah,
Poptastic is called.
yeah. I heard.
Poptastic is fantastic.
I heard that the tickets went like no, there's no tomorrow. So that
That only shows you people want entertainment, and that is what we are here to do. We
yeah,
love working with Making Right Productions because you guys have not just writers but actors, and
yeah.
we've been doing this throughout the whole pandemic actually, and everything, and it's just been working with our cast.
Yeah, and it's lovely because
Let's call them the regulars.
we've had interest as well from further afield from actresses like Jean Rogers last time, and now we've got the lovely Pauline Daniels who's becoming a regular. So it's not just
Yeah.
that. It's not just the locals. We're getting people from further afield that want to join in.
Well, we need to just probably say, and we'll say throughout the night, is that, because we're going to kind of like push this train a little harder and faster, is that if you are a writer, if you are an actor, and you want to join us on the next compendium, our October compendium, which will be pretty much around Halloween time, Sharon. So maybe we should bring back the horrors. Maybe we should bring back the horror stories.
Yeah,
What do you
maybe.
think?
Yeah, we could do
Yeah, I
that.
think so.
But I've also been asking my writers to think about things for Christmas. Hey!
Hey, but it's not Christmas yet, and
No,
hopefully Christmas won't be as bleak as it looks right now.
no. Well,
Hopefully it won't be as it looks right now. But
but my writers are currently now writing Christmas stuff,
okay,
so so I don't know about the horror.
right.
We'll have to think about that. We'll have to think about
Well,
some
well, well,
horror.
well, well. Hey, listen. You know what? Yeah, I know these writers. They're perfect
Yeah,
there, and they write fast and they write furious. So either way,
yeah,
is maybe we should get started with the show
yeah.
because we have ten excellent scripts, and what happens is that usually when we're breaking the scripts down, that we have to put some scripts aside for the next lot, and so we're starting off with one of those scripts that we tried last time, and we're starting off with that script this time, and it's written by fantastic Irene Stewart. Big shout out to Irene Stewart. You know what I mean?
Woo, Irene.
And thank you. I was waiting for you, Sharon. You're a little bit slow there, but but she gave us this really interesting fantastic monologue called "Box of Frogs" and everything. And so to do this, we had to go for one of our mainstays, one of our excellent actresses, Sarah Jones. So like let's just hit it off with our first show of the night, Box of Frogs by Irene Stewart, starring Sarah Jones.
Yay.
Hey.
Oh, it was Mother's Day last week. I hate it. All the hype, all the nonsense. It's the same as Father's Day. What about all those shitty mothers and fathers in the world? There's no mention of them in all these bloody cards full of teddies and flowers. To a wonderful mum. It's the best dad ever. It's a joke. I always get sad leading up to Mother's Day, but I have to stay strong, be realistic. The woman who gave birth to me, she doesn't deserve my love. I'm not bitter. I'm really not, honestly. And don't get me wrong, I was up to a few years ago, but now I think I'm just a mixed ragtag of emotions. I genuinely feel now that the bitterness has disappeared, or maybe it's buried so far down that it gives the impression it's gone away. Maybe it'll just resurface when I least expect it. See, I loved my mum. Really loved her. I've still got some of the cards that I made for her when I was little. I suppose I should throw them away, really. I did get as far as putting them in the kitchen bin once. Pushed them deep down and just went out. And then I couldn't stop thinking about them in the bin. And I took them out as soon as I got home. One had egg all over it. The other one was covered in beans. And my Auntie Joan just got rid of everything else. My toys, my clothes, anything that would just remind me of her. Well, she hadn't. But she thought she was doing what was best for me. She spent a lot of money replacing everything, but I just wanted my old things. I used to cry myself to sleep every night. I was only 7. Auntie Joan was the best. She died of cancer last year. She took me in, but no matter what she did for me, I just couldn't see her as my mum. Played up something ruthless when I was about 12. I'll never know how she put up with me. You know, she had her own kids to look after and Uncle Alex. I thanked her for what she did for me, that I told her I loved her before she passed away. I hope she heard me. I think she did, because she smiled and nodded even though she was in a lot of pain. And Uncle Alex was ace. Still is. He became like a dad to me. Never knew my real father, so it was easy to accept him as the male figure in my life. He was such good fun. Right laugh. His hair's all grey now, but he was proper ginger in those days. His beard's still got a little tinge of red in it, even though he's in his 70s. I overheard once one of the social workers, many social workers, say that she thought I'd be too much for them to handle, and that she'd found a place for me in a children's home. I don't know why she said that. I was painfully shy. Wouldn't have said boo to a goose. Uncle Alex almost threw her out the house. I remember she had a gammy leg and a, what do you call it, REM. You know that thing when your eyes keep blinking all the time? Yeah. Strange what you remember from your childhood, what we choose to forget. It's the things that you forget that cause all the real problems. Well, I've got a new therapist. Saw her for the first time last week. I've been with Charles almost a year and I felt quite comfortable with him, but his pregnant fiancée has decided she wants to live closer to her family, so they're off to Dorset. Got quite upset at our last appointment. He said he'll miss me. Is that professional, do you think? He didn't say it in a sexual way or anything like that, but it was like he was saying it to an old friend. He said he has every faith in Della. He swore she'll look after me. He gave me a hug. I'm a bit weird with hugs, but that hug felt comfortable, sort of comforting. And I was dreading my first meeting with Della. Charles had checked to see if I was okay seeing a female, as there was a long waiting list to see a male. I bit the bullet and said yes, even though I get on much better with men than women. It's all to do with my mum, you see. Della's defo odd, But I'll hold fire on the final analysis until I've had a few more meetings with her. Last week's mainly entailed talking through my experience as a kid and how they've affected my life. She showed very little emotion, but I did notice that her left leg was shaking like bilio, definite sign that she was shocked. I mean, I know she is a therapist, but I wonder how many times she's had to listen to a client describe sexual abuse by their mother. Oh, I'm just on my way to see her again. I'll fill you in when I get back. Well, you'll never guess what's just happened. That Della is something else. I was describing, right, how losing Auntie Joan had brought back all the dark thoughts, and I told her that some days I feel as mad as a box of frogs. She did no more than leap from her chair, crouch on the floor, and jump around making frog noises. Rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. Right, and this went on for a good few seconds, honest to God. I didn't have a clue how to react. I mean, would you? She's supposed to be the sane one. And then she eventually stopped and sat back down, gasping for breath. I just sat there with my mouth open. Charles was like, how shall I say it, a bit strange, but Della, she's a different kettle of fish altogether. Once she could breathe more easily, she proceeded to tell me that her frog impersonation was in order to convince me that my belief that I'm as mad as a box of frogs is way off the mark. She said, given what I've been through, I'm remarkably well adjusted. As far as I'm concerned, the jury's still out on that contention. It took me years of therapy to accept what my mother did to me. And what she made me do to her is abuse. When you've been told that all mummies do it to their little girls to show you how much they love them, you believe it. Perhaps even she believed it. And I found out years later, during her trial, her brief had ascertained that her mother, so my grandmother, who died when I was 3, had abused her as a child, and therefore she saw the abuse as natural and normal. There was apparently no evidence of this. My Auntie Joan refuted it on the witness stand, saying that their mother had absolutely in no way abused either of them. My mother was kind of strange, a one-off, totally off the wall. She had a terrible temper, but she could also be loving on the turn of a penny. She was a drinker and she liked the odd spliff. Although I didn't know it at the time, she was into hard drugs as well. She always worked in a pub or a bookies. I remember she was even a dinner lady in my school for a couple of weeks. It wasn't long after she was dismissed that the first social worker arrived on our doorstep. There were many after that as my mother's weird behaviour began to spiral out of control and our life became more and more chaotic. I've asked myself many times this question. If my mum's problems were as a result of her being abused, why would she impose it on me? I can't get my head around that one. I wish I could ask her, but I've no idea now if she's dead or alive. Maybe I'll search for her when Uncle Alex passes away, and I hope that won't be for a long time. Through the years, my feelings and my thoughts have moved backwards and forwards like a swing boat in the local park. That's one of my childhood memories, being taken to the swing boats after my mum had, it's no wonder I'm so fucked up. Charles said I've made good progress over the past year. He's probably right. I do seem able to think more rationally than in the past, and maybe Della can take me even further down that road to recovery. I promise you won't tell anyone. You're the first to know. I've met someone, and I think he could be the one. I've never felt like this before. I've always steered clear of a proper relationship. Well, I'm scared of having kids, you see. So what if I turn out like her? What if it runs in the family? Well, anyway, last night I told Harry everything. He was such a love. He cried and I comforted him by hugging him. It felt wonderful. We even talked about having kids. Not just yet, but maybe sometime in the future. Maybe that's why the meeting with Della went so well today. Probably came across as almost normal. That's how Harry makes me feel. And I've made a decision. Those Mother's Day cards are going in the bin. And they're staying there. Maybe not tonight, but definitely someday soon.
Wow, ribbit. That's all I got to say. Box of Frogs by Irene Stewart, played lovely by Sarah Jones and everything. And again, just another great monologue. And I was saying to Sarah that I mean, her acting is just always on point. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just great and a pleasure to give her things. But I will say this for you writers out there: Sarah has asked if somebody will write her a comedy, please, because like she wants to tap into her comedy chops more than her emotional chops. So, and Sarah, if you're watching, just say that down below. Just say, somebody write me a comedy, please.
I've been
You know
telling
what I mean? I mean, you must have experienced her in the drama.
I mean, Sarah's very good at anything that you give her, really. So, but because she's very good at the emotional stuff, she tends to get that. But we, I've asked the writers to try and think about doing some comedy talk, as it's coming towards Christmas, and we need a good cheer up at the moment, don't we all? So, well,
it's kind of like
nice comedies in.
Yeah, it's kind of like Pauline Daniels got a week about look, comedy clubs going down, and looking for the opportunity for more comedies and being performed. So maybe that's also a thing to think about there, Sharon. Your Christmas stuff. I would also like to respond to Ted Gray talking about he would do a Christmas horror. I can't wait to see The Night That Reindeer Died or Silent Night, Deadly Night. You know what I'm saying? those are horror movies from the 70s. You know what I mean? The horror movies from the 70s. Yeah, good job. Thanks.
I just want to pick up the fact that some of the young theatre groups around here are actually trying to put stuff on, and particularly Sucker Punch Theatre are putting on a horror pantomime over the half term at the bombed out church, and I just think that's fabulous that they're doing that. So I just want to mention that.
Is that the one? Is that the one that Luke is playing a clown in?
Yeah, Luke's playing Bojo the clown. So.
Yeah. Well, but we should also say, I was trying to give you a lead in there, Sharon. We should also say that for those who remember the lovely Mandy Nolly, she has been hard at working on another script by Ted Gray, Clown Delivery, which hopefully we'll be highlighting in our next compendium.
Yeah, and they've been out shooting it, and Mandy has actually been risking life and limb on the back of a trolley doing filming people running around.
I heard she fell off that trolley.
She fell off, and she's ended up with
I heard she fell off that trolley.
Yeah. I think it's international.
She felt it was funny.
Yeah, I think it's International Bruise Your Bum Week, because I heard that Pauline Daniels was there at the radio station.
Did she now?
Yeah, she did. She fell on the bum.
Some people don't believe that the world is flat. That's why. Anyway, let's move on to our second film. Let's move on to our second film. Don't get me started. Um, so this second is called Manic, and it was actually written by one of your new into wasn't it?
Yeah, she's brand.
Tell
She's
us a
brand
little bit
new.
about Pauline before we talk about.
Yeah, Pauline has only just started at the drop-in, but she's quite an experienced writer and knows a fair amount about Shakespeare and has written some books, examining some Shakespeare areas, and saucy bits and things like that. So she's quite a lady.
Well, first of all, I like to hear about the saucy bits, but yeah, and Harry Potter because I believe she was a teacher at Oxford as well. So that's enough about her. But let's talk about Manic, the film that's duologue that will be starring Sarah Ann Donald and our very own Floyd Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
Right, and everything. So like, this is a bit out there. So let's hit it off, Blake. Manic.
I'm afraid you're not going anywhere.
Watch me. Were all that lot out there real human beings once? You know, sentient living things before you drug them up to the eyeballs?
Jack, can I call you Jack?
It's Dr. Kirkham to you. Or you can call me Bill if you like. If I can call you Doc.
Oh yes, Doctor of Philosophy, I see from your notes.
What does anyone do for sex around here?
You're about to come down from a severe episode of psychotic mania.
And it's heaven on earth. You feel everything on the tips of the hairs of your skin. It makes a walk in the rain seem like great sex. By the way, will this take long? I'm scheduled a shag with Brad Pitt at 4. Or was it Jurgen Klopp?
The depression that will almost certainly follow will be as dangerous as your mania. Remember what it was like before? The Black Despair?
I came out of it though, didn't I? Or was it Marlon Brando? Oh no, he's dead, isn't he? But what if it isn't manic depression? Or what's it? What will these fucking drugs do to my mind if it isn't?
You've got too many classic symptoms, really, for it to be anything else.
Huh.
Colossal self-confidence.
Well, I am brilliant after all.
Theatrical mannerisms.
Well, that's not me, for heaven's sake.
Erotomania is a particularly common feature of the illness.
Well, that's even better.
Mistaking the sublime for the ridiculous or the other way around, it seems you submitted a treatise to the Critical Quarterly on the influence of Benny Hill on Shakespeare's exploration of the complexities of identity in the Comedy of Errors.
That was brilliant.
Intense and impulsive sexual liaisons, and particularly prone to erotomania.
You already said that one. Do you always sound like a textbook? Jesus, I'm out of here.
That's not possible.
What is this?
We need to take some blood before we give you medication.
Magic pills?
Oh, mood stabilizers.
I don't want my mood stabilized.
You've had a psychotic episode.
I fucking well haven't. I've had a blast. I'm not mad, you know.
No, but the symptoms of bipolar disorder.
Yeah. Stick it up your own vein, Dracula.
Manic depressives or bipolar sufferers, unlike normal individuals or schizophrenics, tend to have pronounced fluency of thinking and what's called combinatory thinking.
Combining thoughts?
The way ideas are formed, being loosely strung together and extravagantly combined and elaborated. You have this.
I do.
But it's only when these thoughts are structured by a disciplined mind that they can be transformed into works of art, which is why you need help, you need to...
Oh, I have to have the pills.
And mutants, they have slightly different receptors from normal minds for information cascading.
Cascading? You're making science sound like poetry.
And slightly different machinery for processing it.
That's definitely manic.
So what comes out to rejoin the flow is novel, filled with new sorts of meaning. Bach could do this. And what emerged in the current was primordia in music. So his art of fugue and St. Matthew Passion were in terms of the evolution of human thought. Feather wings, opposing thumbs, even new layers of the brain.
Are you a musician now?
I'm writing a book on composers and bipolar. I'm working on Rachmaninoff and his depression at the moment. You know, he suffered almost a year when he couldn't write at all. Imagine what he could have created if he'd been able to take lithium.
No. But ideas might have been incubating during that time. Winter is the destruction necessary for new life. When nature goes underground to start fresh creation.
You always have an answer.
Christ, I'm fucking annoying, aren't I?
I have a quote I think you'll like. Let me see. Yes, here it is. The capacity to blunder slightly is the real marvel of DNA. Without this special attribute, we would still be anaerobic bacteria and there would be no music.
Jesus.
Yes, think about that. Jack, I promise you the drugs won't take away your creative powers.
Then why are you giving me drugs designed to stop coyotes biting sheep?
Oh,
what if the lithium takes everything away? I am in love with this green earth, the unspeakable rural solitudes, the sweet security of streets. How can such rapture be willingly given up?
Or the increasing disruption of your senses and intellect.
Or the boldness of temperament required for original thought.
The self-hatred, the falling down into nothingness.
The intensity, the compassion.
The uncontrolled violence.
The joy, the sheer joy of unimagined, heightened imagination.
No one's creative when they're paralyzed by depression.
No work of art was ever produced by a dampened mind.
Nothing meaningful was ever produced by uncontrolled mania.
The tapping into deep, irrational, tumultuous, unpredictable emotions.
That need a disciplined imagination to be turned into something meaningful.
You can't structure anything if it isn't there.
You can't structure chaos when you're dead.
It's ineffable. The poignancy, the intensity that makes you feel as though you're going to bubble over with joy. The sheer physicality of being alive, the excitement, the sense that everything is vibrant. The extremes, the risk-taking of the exuberance of the first days of falling in dizzy love.
Jack.
It's not funny. It's not funny. Eyes no longer seeing. Blood no longer pumping. Grey waste that was once a glowing face.
Jack.
Why do we suffer? What are you doing? It's those bloody drugs again.
Promise.
Yeah, you promised before. You said that they won't take away your creative powers. But what if these alarming, destructive powers that make animals stop plunging their teeth into little sheep, what could that do to my identity? What will I do to who I am? It's that taming, the taming of the wild, the original, the different, the gloriously off the wall. What could Rachmaninoff have done if he'd been put on lithium? Who fucking knows? And would the Sistine Chapel exist? Or Van Gogh's stars, or that wonky little chair? Mrs. Dalloway's days. Coleridge's bloody, annoying, nosy albatross. What? What?
I think you're trying to trick me out of a job.
Well, I suppose it's against the rules for doctors to shag their patients. I'm out of here.
Jack, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think I am actually, Doc. And no to your no more highs.
Jack, where on
I'm
earth?
going to France. I'm going to fuck my way through France. 3 in a bed with 2 seriously well-hung hunks. That'll do nicely, thank you.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
I'm
What did
really,
you think, Sharon?
well, I really wanted to see how this one came out, because not only did we cast a different gender as the psychiatrist than Pauline had put in her scripts, but also I wanted to see how the actors would interact on this one, and I think you did quite a good job directing them, because the contrast between the two of them, the manic one and the doctor, is key, I think, to this, and you really got it going with them.
Yeah, I mean, because I thought it was important that as we get along, and what I really like about the actors being willing to be doing these scenes, because we want to go beyond just the monologue dual area. I mean, and obviously, a lot of people could come out, social distancing and everything else like that. So using the imagination to still come off with the manic of, Sarah and character. And first of all, let me just say, you were telling me that Sarah Ann, you wanted her to break out of her shell or whatever. I mean, how do you think she did with her performance?
I mean, she was so free in that. So far we've had her, sat down doing very still performances, and it was lovely seeing her, running around the room and waving her arms around, and really getting into the manic character. And I think it was lovely when she started to really break down towards the end, because the contrast of her jumping about and then suddenly getting very close to the camera. It was beautiful. It was really beautifully done. So,
and I mean, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, and well done to Pauline for this, because it was a bad word between these two. I thought that was what.
Oh, we're losing you, Chase. Pauline, I think she's written a lot about mania and so she's she's quite an expert, I think, in that area. So it was, it's really, really well written and really well observed.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we're gonna jump right into another psychotic script, and as a psychotic script, it has to be written by a psychotic, our very own Bernie Winston. You know. Well, no, but it's true. Bernie, loves telling people how he's a driver and he does all of this stuff. So he has written this script called Driven, and what I like to do is thank Ted Grant for going for this one, because I felt that a story called Driven should take place in a car, and he doesn't even actually have a car, but he managed to get one for this film. So this is Ted Grant in Driven.
Are you talking to me? I said, are you talking to me? Well, I don't see anyone else here, motherfucker. Shit. I was hoping for a nice quiet end to the shift. What do I get? Ken Dodd's bastard son, that's what I get. He's about as funny as a fire in an orphanage. But if I want a tip, I have to be nice to him. Bollocks to that. Hey, come on, you boring twat. The meter's running. Where to? Bye-bye, tip. All right, he says. Who rattled your cage? Drop me by the Holy Ghost in Netherton. The Holy Ghost Church. Please. Netherton. My old stomping grounds. God, it was a right dump when I lived there. That was years ago, mind. But it's worse now. Much worse. There were no drugs around when I was a kid. Yeah, a bit of weed. Everyone smoked a bit of weed, maybe. But no hard drugs. Not like today. I indicate and pull out. It's quiet in the back now. Let's hope it stays that way. He flagged me down outside the Crown. Picked up a few fares from there recently. All half pissed as well. Suppose the landlord's got to do what he has to do to get by. Sneaking them in round the back. Corona on tap. Well, I suppose it's a big pub, and if they're sensible, they should be able to socially distance, no problem. Mind you, sensible is the last word I'd use to describe knobhead in the back. I glance in the mirror and catch his reflection. He's nodded off. He must be, what, about 60? And with a gut like that, probably diabetic. The prick's ticking a lot of the at-risk boxes, I can tell you. He should be more careful. A coughing fit jerks him awake. I hope that's the ciggies. Yeah, it'll be the ciggies. Saw him stamping one out on the ground when I picked him up. I've got my perspex screen to protect me anyway. Little gap for the payments. Got my windows wide open. Nice breeze blowing through the cab. Yeah, I should be okay. I'll be fine. Jane worries though. What with her being pregnant and all. Doesn't like me going out and mixing with all these people. When I get home, she greets me with a squirt of hand sanitizer. Not a kiss. She makes me strip to my undies in the hallway. Like the bleeding full Monty. Everything in the wash, even my jacket. I have to keep 2 metres away from her. That's the hardest part. Don't even get a cuddle. So yeah, she's not happy. But I have to earn a living somehow, don't I? Babies don't come cheap. And there's no furlough money for the likes of me. I was working with Billy when all this shitstorm kicked in. Helping him out in his shop. At the weekend at Grady Market. 250 quid cash in hand. But now Billy's shop's boarded up. And Grady Market's deserted. City's like a fucking ghost town. So I had to do something. So I found this. That's all there was. Been doing it for just over a week now. 100 quid it costs to hire a cab. It's tough on Mondays and Tuesdays, but as the week progresses it gets busier. And I'm my own boss. I like that. I start at 4, work through till, well, whenever really. First couple of hours are usually pretty good, what with the supermarkets being busy and that. And in early evening, a lot of the kids are out socialising. Teenage girls and up to the nines. Bottles of vodka in one hand, meeting up at friends' houses. They think they're bulletproof, don't they? And then there's the NHS staff and the care workers, badges proudly on display, hoping for a free ride. I can't give them a free ride though, can I? Yeah, I give them a couple of quid off the fare, but I can see the disappointments on their faces. I don't see anything. Don't even try to explain. Soft lad in the back is dead to the world now. He snores gently as I trundle down Litherland Road at a steady 30 miles an hour. Well, saves on petrol money, doesn't it? We passed the site of the old library. Me and our Joe would come here every Saturday morning. Me mum and dad didn't have a single book in our house. Not one, not interested. But the library gave us access to a whole world that we didn't know. Adventures in the countryside, going on adventures and solving mysteries. Our Joe, he liked Biggles, but I was into war stuff. I'm still not. It's gone now, the library. A victim of austerity. Bulldozer away. There were protests. I even signed a petition to help save it. But they weren't listening, were they? Did they ever fucking listen? A row of neat little houses stands in its place now. Dickens Close, the bastards called it. Just to remind us of what we'd lost. I take the first exit off the mini roundabout and I'm outside the Holy Ghost Church. It's time to wake up Sleeping Beauty in the back. I pull over to the curb and bang on the perspex screen. Hey mate, we're here. He looks around, bleary-eyed. Just take the next left. Swift's Lane? Yeah, Swift's Lane. Bloody hell. I grew up on Swift's Lane. I drive slowly, taking it all in. Go past that old house. 145. Doesn't look too bad. Fancy blinds in the windows. Hanging baskets by the front door. Nice neat little gardens in the front. I'm surprised. Pleasantly surprised. What number, mate? 177. Just on the left. 177? The Roberts used to live at 177. Jimmy Roberts must be about, 10 years older than me? He used to keep racing pigeons in his back garden and a loft. He used to drive me on bloody crackers, those pigeons. Circling overhead, shitting on a washing. Once shat on my dad's head, once. What a laugh that was. Dirty little flockers, he said, as he went off to the shower. My dad. He's gone now. Dodgy ticker. Survived 2 heart attacks, but I couldn't survive a third. The first one happened out here, just on the street. We're having a kickabout. It was me, my dad, our Joe, and Jimmy. All of a sudden, he just clutched his chest and collapsed. Collapsed to the ground, unconscious. His face turned fucking blue, I tell you. Our Joe, he ran and got me mum. She was hysterical. A complete wreck. No use at all. Me, I just froze. Rooted to the spot. Scared. Really scared. But Jimmy, he was calm. Knelt down beside me dad. Hand under his chin. Tilted his head back. Pumped on his chest. Blew into his mouth over and over till the ambulance arrived, all wailing sirens and flashing lights. They took him to Aintree Hospital. My mum went with him and she was calmer now, but still in floods of tears, you know. That was the last time I prayed. Yeah. Went out to my room, got on my knees and prayed. Dad survived. He had to be careful, like he had to take tablets and watch himself, but he lived for another 20 years. Oh, thanks to Jimmy Roberts. He was famous for a weekend. The Times came and took his photograph. The Bootle Times, that is. He didn't have to buy a pint in a Liverpool Arms ever again. Not while my dad was in there anyway. Which was most nights. I park up. 177 looks a bit more run down than the rest of the houses. Tatty nets, dirty windows. Yeah, he fumbles in his pocket trying to get the money. The meter reads 8.40. Not a bad fare to end the night on. Yeah, he says, passes me a tenner. I get a tip after all. And not a bad tip at that. I feel a bit guilty now. As I take the money from him, a single grain of birdseed falls to the floor. I look at him. I look at him properly for the first time now. Yeah, he's a lot older. He's not aged well. He used to have a mass of curls, but they're long gone. His face is lined and haggard. And he must be, what, 5 or 6 stone heavier? But it's Jimmy Roberts. It's definitely him. As he clambers out of the cab, walks towards his tattered little house, I shout after him, "Jimmy!" He turns around and looks puzzled. I stare back at him. "Thanks," I say. "Thanks for everything." As I pull away, it shrinks to a dot in my rear view mirror.
Wow. So Sharon, how did you like the look of Driven there?
Yeah, when I put the photograph
you were
out
going
on
for
the
that
trailer,
75.
when I put the photograph up on the trailer, I knew it was going to be a lovely, lovely, strong image. You know, so you know, I'm very impressed with the way that was done. And bloody hell, Ted Grant is really, really coming on as an actor. That's fabulous. I really enjoyed that.
I was riveted by his performance and
Yeah.
everything, you know, and maybe that's another thing is like for writers to think about.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, create a story in the basement, create a story in the on the rooftop, or I mean, so that way we have interesting locations to choose from. So anyway, so we went from a high. Let's go to a low. You catch me there? Did you catch me there?
I get where
We're going for a low because, well, we're going for Groom of the Stool,
right?
Which is the low, right? So this is a comedy. Yes, okay. Now you'll get it when you actually watch it, people. But we're going for a comedy by our very own Frances Brody Obridge. Now she usually performs in these monologues and duos that we have, and this is the first one she's written, right? And this was another one from the last compendium that was moved to this compendium, right? Is that right?
Yeah, we've moved it along.
So obviously we don't have all the beef eater costumes and the royal guardsmen and everything like that. So hopefully you can see it within the character actors. So we have Wayne Stewart Cole and Keith Nahan performing as two very posh guards who have a very dirty job to do. And they discuss it well. Now, all I can say is this is why, you know what, Sharon? This is why I gave up working in the real world, because like that was offered me they said, "Can you lift 60 pounds?" And I said, "Yeah." Say, "Yeah, we need somebody to clean up after the elephants at the circus." So Groom of the Stool reminds me of why I left the business world. So anyway, hopefully you will find this charmingly funny, like in a Morecambe and Wise kind of way.
Yeah, it's a scatological drama.
She was waiting for it. She was waiting for it, people. Blake, close the curtains. We've already introduced it.
Morning, my lord.
Morning, my lord.
Fine morning, my lord.
Yes, my lord.
Is my lord here for the position?
Yes, my lord.
Hmm. You, my lord?
I am, my lord.
Oh. Oh, I see. Has my lord done this type of work before?
No, my lord. You, my lord?
I have, my lord.
Oh, so were you,
Dismissed? No, my lord. Indeed not. I fancy doing a bit of travelling. With it being pageant season, this position came up for a temp. So I thought, why not give it a go? You know, one gets tired looking at the same face if you get my drift. And there's not much in the way of perks for the permanent on the throne. And plus the long hours played havoc with my knees.
knees, my lord?
Squatting, my lord.
I was hoping there wasn't going to be much squatting, as I too have the knee thing. I thought they gave you a stick with a rag on the end.
Sadly, the lord, the stick can be it can be a tad hit and miss. And, you know, the problem, my lord, was this was caused by squatting.
Kneeling, my lord. My job is horn of the shoe, my lord. 'Twas surely the dullest job on the planet.
Well, I would say it was one above entry level. Pluck of hairs, that was it.
Don't talk to me about plucker of hairs, my lord. 6-month statue-like eagle-eyed tweezers poised, ready to pluck. I ended up with a trapped nerve and repetitive strain in my wrist. I didn't realise this was a temporary position.
Yes, my lord, it did state on the application. TVM for 6 months only.
TVM, my lord.
Temporary visiting monarch, my lord. Now, lean in, and I will apprise. Now, the French king, famous for his love of rich cuisine, a capacity to indulge, feasted in excess, so much so, his throne at the table was assiduously attended underneath by a squatting groom. Ever ready, no stick, no rag, just gently cut hands. For 6 days, food cooked by the finest chefs, capons, pheasants, swan and lark, truffles and sweetbreads adorned the banqueting tables, and the king gorged himself shamelessly, and each day the groom squatted, waiting, but nothing came. The days passed, each one the same as the last. The king on day 6 had developed a pallor of pale green, and still insisted on having his food. It was after the Mont Blanc and before the cheese and biscuits. The first signs appeared. The groom steadied himself as muscles in his thighs tightened, and his stance steadied, his hands slightly trembling as he waited. 6 days' worth came hurtling out of the poor man. The poor man didn't stand a chance. The first gust knocked him clean off his feet. It was not a pretty sight. The fog roar, alas! The groom, who seems to be a very sensitive, loyal servant, took it very badly. And he descended into a deep depression, turning to one and no one, and went about his business forthwith with deep embarrassment. The king, well, for entertainment, he had a travelling review. The usual testosterone driven pretty boys and bare naked ladies, monsieur, plus a corpulent yet compassionate performing baboon. Now, he was amusingly called Monsieur Peepee. Now, the baboon would look upon the groom with big, sad eyes, showing what could only be described as a kind of love, which unfortunately was reciprocated. Need I say more? My lord, voilà, a vacancy?
Oh. Oh, really, my lord? So going back to the job in hand, no stick then, no rag, possible baboon complication? I must say, my lord, I did not realise the job would pose such dangers to the mind and body. To be honest, I was hoping it'd be a simple task. But on hearing this rendition of sheer horror, I fear that my desire to rise up from the royal footstool to the royal longstool may be a tad premature for me. So with a heavy heart, I will resign from the race. Are you, my lord, clear passage, as I am now not sure it's the opening I'm looking for. I bid you good luck and a pleasant day, my lord.
Well, and a pleasant day to you. I think that did the trick.
Back. That was really good fun.
Well, what you think of that one? As I said, it was a very pop squat. What you think?
Yeah,
I said if that was a job that's
yeah, I love the way that I love the way Keith it gets very posh and very 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 high pitched over his descriptions. He's quite a good comedy actor, I think. So yeah, that was great.
yeah, it felt this particular duologue felt very like Morecambe and Wise kind of thing, you know. And everything. On one hand is I wish they had the same kind of solid wall background kind of thing, but you do what you can with these and stuff, and it still comes off funny. So well done to Frances. I don't know how she did her research. Maybe I don't want to know. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna move on to Ted Gray, who's in the chat with us and has been here the whole time. Well done, Ted. So we're finally up to a butchering son. Isn't it a butchering son or a butcher son?
It's a
Butchering son,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, I knew it was a butcher son. Anyway, you said this was political and everything. I don't think you will find it political.
I think it does have a leaning towards the Conservative Party and a particular Mr. Cummings. So yeah, have a look at that one.
Well, I mean, like the way I envisioned this was more like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, and that's why I was so glad that Lou Freeburn wanted to do it. So maybe you'll see shades of American Psycho when you look at this one.
Brilliant.
So let's play it. Butchering Son, starring Lou Freeburn. Lou Freeburn.
Yeah.
I watched The Blade. I watched carefully, very carefully how that blade moved. I watched so very carefully how it sliced the air. I saw the air splinter and fall away. Was it the blade? Was it aerodynamic, like a wing? Could the movement of the air change the arc? Could he feel that the blade slicing the air, curving, floating? Does it vibrate? Does it make your hand tingle? Your forearm? How does it feel? Sliced cleanly, the edge so keen it cut like a scalpel. He knew he had an audience, and he loved it. Every move a little grander, the arm a little higher, his back a little straighter. The movement that little bit faster, and the final twist was an embellishment a matador would approve of. Eloquence and grandiloquence side by side. And they all watched carefully. His audience as they queued, waiting, wondering what to buy for tonight's dinner, wondering if they would also get the tip of my father's finger wrapped up with their lamb chops. Pomposity and providoring were all part of my father the butcher. Entertainment and essentials for the hungry hordes. They gasped in mock appreciation of his skills, but really, they wanted to see him heard. A finger gone, or even better, if he removed an ear in his overblown performance of butchery. The theatrical flourish of the blade inadvertently dropping his ear on the block. The man did not know his place. It was in the back room, after hours, that I saw his real skill. How to take a full carcass and turn it into all the cuts required by the inhabitants of our desperate little town. It is where I got my understanding of anatomy, where I learned how the best swordsman would have been able to pick apart a joint, how a joint naturally separates as the tendons and ligaments are cut. It is a skill, an art, the art of separating vertebra in a single movement, freeing the hand to tumble. It is this love of science, physics, of art and engineering that drove me through all my studies, pushed me through all the thwarted attempts to create change as I strove for a better society. A society freed from the constraints of habits and rituals whose purpose had expired. I sought an efficient society with just rewards for those who deserve them. And so, I hitched up my trousers once again, tucked in my unruly shirt, and extracted the guileless pants from the cloven hoof of my buttocks. Physically adjusted for comfort, I returned my will and focus to understanding the structure of society. But there was no advantage to continuously battering my honed intellect against the dull bone of the establishment. I must understand how to pick it apart, at taking from a dumb carcass to choice cuts, dismembering it. What was the finest selection of society? What was the sausage meat? And what was mere dog food to be pushed aside? Eventually, my ascent began, my revolutionary ideals and practices gaining acceptance. Pathetically aspirant politicians and dull-witted bureaucrats attaching themselves to my wagon train of change. I had sponsors and the tailwinds of privilege. And now the goggle-eyed, endlessly babbling and shamelessly vain promoters of my vision. An efficient society of just rewards, sweeping aside malfeasance and incompetence. My reputation grew such that the bumbling salesman I required was eventually ensnared, and the final ascent on the summit could begin. The worthless had been discarded, thrown under a bus. Accidental death was on the rise. On full ascension, there could be no room for dissent. If we were to change the world, it would need a unified team. Clean the drops from my shirt, and then, with team and trousers in place, we surged forward. Not quite bloodlessly. My hands firmly grasped the levels of power, the just rewards for my endeavours flowing. The incompetent were deserting the sinking ship, some with honour, some by suicide. Fatalities on the increase. The butchering of a failed society was in full flow. Under my guidance, the choice cuts were being assembled, the sausages thrown to the hungry, and the dog food distributed, the crumbs collecting like dandruff. Defenestration of the unwilling became a reality, the enforcement of law appropriately selective as I secured my trousers and extracted the errant pants. My head growing bigger and gorged, my brain, my intellect were forced to work even harder as the weak were ground underfoot, or sometimes under the wheels of the bus of progress, literally. Britain would be greater, united once more, the nation efficient and effective. Finally, a modern society taking its place once again in this cutthroat world, even if it involved some cutthroating when required, so we could be great Britain. I ruled Britannia efficiently and effectively, with my rewards justly apportioned. The noble figureheads provided no impediments during their posturing. Money, the answer always. But Bumbles. Bumbles, the blonde salesman, was failing. His need for love was unaffected by finance. He was stumbling, a loss of nerve perhaps, or the guilt that inhabited his gelatinous frame were asserting itself. I would take him for a drive up the country to test his vision. I still owned the butcher shop, the knives still sharpened. America may shoot its presidents and Australia drown its prime ministers. But this Great Britain, this united kingdom, just had its aristocrats disappear enigmatically, romantically and quixotically vanishing. A mystical Indian rope trick, a butcher's deceit. Only the dogs of war in this desperate little place understand.
Oh, so the butcher's son. Now, this was the kind of knife. Now, this is a knife. I feel like Crocodile Dundee, Sharon. You know,
Not that knife, Lou.
this is the kind of now that's a knife.
Yeah.
But no, Lou still did a great Patrick Bateman. I see that my man who's got chips. I can
I
hear
don't know
you.
what's going on.
Anyway, so it looks like that was Blake with his chips.
Was it
Looks
Blake?
like our man Colin Hives is showing up.
Yeah.
Not
Colin's
in
here.
the film.
Yeah, there's lots of people.
I am not in the films. And
There are lots of people have been
yeah.
talking
Anyway,
about the writers' drop-in chat as well. I think because people have got it on their YouTube, on the television, the only place
all
they
right.
can chat is on the drop-in. So we've had a few comments. Lou's
Well,
just commented.
hopefully they're loving it. Remember,
Yeah,
like if anybody else wants to join us for Compendium, which will be the end of October, I'm trying to convince Sharon to not do a Christmas movie.
No, not. We don't.
You know, I think if we're going to go back to the original Midnight Threat.
Yeah, we'll do Christmas in November.
Yeah, but I said October. We're talking about October.
October, we need some horror, don't we? We really do need some horror.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Going back to the Midnight Threat. So anyway, what we got coming up here? What we got coming up is a comedy. We got a comedy coming up. Now, you know, written again by Bernie Winston. All right, so we're looking for more writers. No, Bernie, we love you. You know it's true. But you know, Bernie has kind of made his contribution of a duologue. One with a monologue. This is a duologue, and it's called Matches of the day,
Yeah,
and the
Bernie Winston.
youngest actor. Oh no, Bernie's not our youngest. As the starring two of our youngest
Yeah,
actresses, Sean Gibbs and Jade Sarah Cunningham,
yeah.
and everything.
Sean
So
Gibbons, yeah.
I gotta say, saucy pair. This was a saucy pair, Sharon.
Was it saucy? Oh my goodness me. Oh wow, I didn't know that.
It's a bit saucy. Well,
Oh yes, it gets
I mean,
saucy
you
at
know
the
what?
end. It gets
It's gonna
saucy
be
at the
saucy.
end. Boy,
So we all can use a little sauce in our lives. So like, let's get right to the sauce then. Like hot sauce. So
Yeah.
this is match of the day, starring Bernie Winston.
Okay.
I'm not written by Bernie Winston.
Oh, I love cracking game today.
Look at the state of the carpet.
You know, I scored. I actually scored a goal. The first of the season.
Chunks of mud everywhere.
20 yards it was. Yeah, 20 yards. I was going to cross it and Billy was at the far post screaming for it as per usual. But it bounced perfectly in front of me, so I thought, go on, John. Sod these bloody glory hunters. And, Billy with his fucking 30 goals whatever goals a season. And just go for it, lads.
Watch what you're doing with those boots. There's mud everywhere. Stop flying your arms around.
I caught it perfectly. And it flew in. Bloody flew in.
Where's that dustpan and brush? Here it is.
And I stopped a certain equaliser with the last kick of the game.
I'm not hoovering again. I'm going to leave that to you. Right, once you've cleaned yourself up, you can get that bloody hoover out.
There was a great big puddle in the middle of the goal, so I knew the ball was going to hold up, and I kept running. Yeah, I just kept going and slid in. I stopped it right on the line.
Look at that muck on your legs. So why don't you get a shower for Christ's sake? God knows what state you've left the car in.
When the final whistle went, I went over to the lads running the line, the subs, the manager, and I gave them the middle finger. It was just a spur of the moment thing. I mean, they've been giving me stick all game, hadn't they?
Did you put newspaper on the floor of the car? Please tell me you put newspaper on the floor.
They went a bit of rough mob, actually. They went bonkers. Especially this one bloke with no front teeth and a limp. Looked like his head was about to explode. Luckily, Matt stepped in. He's ace, Matt. Ex-army, about 6'5". Great bloke to have around when there's trouble. He managed to settle things down, and, well, I didn't hang around, though. Thought I'd best get off.
Matt?
Yeah?
Ex-army and 6'5", you said?
About that, yeah.
Really muscly, is he?
I suppose so.
Does he work at the gym? You know, the gym in the leisure centre?
I don't know. I don't know where he works. Why?
Well, it sounds like him. He's asked me if I want some one-on-one sessions.
Some what?
You know, one-on-one sessions. He's offered to be my personal trainer.
Matt?
Yeah, his name's Matt. What's he look like with his shirt off?
Pretty good. Never mind about what he looks like with his shirt off. You're not going, are you?
I might.
I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. He's always chasing birds.
Women.
He's always chasing women, Matt is. Yeah, he's got more knocks in his bedpost than I've had hot dinners. And he keeps their knickers. Yeah, he's got bloody drawers full of women's knickers.
What? He collects women's knickers?
Yeah, some of the lads have actually seen them. Big knickers knickers, skimpy knickers, silky knickers, thongs,
Okay, I get the picture.
lacy ones.
John!
Look, Jay, I can be your personal trainer. I can train you. Let's go for a walk in the morning or run. What do you think?
Oh, look out, Joe Wicks. There's new kids on the block.
Yeah, pass that pan and brush. I'll go and clean the car.
It's all right. I'll take it to the car wash later. Use that super vac thing. That'll shift it.
Okay. I'll jump in the shower, then get this bloody muck off my legs, eh? You, want to join me?
Fancy scoring twice in one day, do you?
Well.
Come on then. I'll race you.
Oh. Jade,
Yeah?
can I keep your knickers?
Right. Okay. That was Match of the Day by Bernie Winston, Sean Givens, and Jade Cunningham running off to do you know what.
Running off to, yeah, they were running off to do a shower, and like I said, it get a bit saucy. At least wasn't in the middle of it, but you know, hey, what are you gonna do? Yeah, it's a bit of sauce.
Yeah. Well,
so what we got next?
Our next writer is Anne Pritchard, and Anne, you know, she was quite new to writing when she started off with us, and she tends to write more sort of you know, prose story, fiction stories, and she's actually had one accepted to a competition that she's submitted it to. So we are getting a little bit of success from our writers.
Well done.
So yeah,
well
so this one's called My Back Pages, and it's you know, a memoir of childhood, I think. And we've got our lovely actors.
Yeah, well, Francis Brody Ulrich is starring in this one, and it's a little bit spooky. You know, to me, it's like it's time to put the covers up for this one. My Back Pages. Yeah. It's dark.
Okay, sweetie. More story, then it's bedtime for you. Only a few nights ago, she remembered she'd woken up so terribly thirsty in the middle of the night. She decided, after a lot of deliberation, she'd just have to brave the elements and get out of her warm bed into the cold bedroom and go downstairs for a drink of water, something she'd never done before. She pushed back the blankets, put on her housecoat and slippers. There was a glow coming through the window from the street lamp below, so no need to put the light on. She crept down the steep stairs so as not to wake anyone else. She reached the bottom and she put her hand inside the living room door to find the light switch. She clicked it on and went to step inside. She was very sleepy, but as her eyes began to focus, she let out a loud gasp and a shriek. The floor was moving, undulating and rising and falling. It looked like a black wave lapping the floor in a slow, rhythmic manner. At first, she couldn't make it out. Was she dreaming, she thought? No. She looked longer and realised what it was. The whole floor was covered. She couldn't see the carpet beneath. Black, shiny bodies were moving in unison. Cockroaches of every size and shape imaginable. She quickly flicked off the light, ran back upstairs. She was sweating as she jumped back into bed and pulled the covers over her head. Thirsty no longer, she tried to block what she'd seen from her mind.
She'd always been embarrassed about her home. The terraced house with no bathroom, no hot running water, and only a coal fire in the living room to heat the house. The living room was like an inferno, while every other room was an icebox. The toilet was outside, down the bottom of the yard. It was a wooden bench across a porcelain bowl with a rickety door which would lock. Would it be called rustic these days? Anyway, she hated it. She hated using it, freezing cold at all times of the year, but exceptionally miserable in winter. They all had a bucket in their bedroom in case they needed to go in the night. One of her jobs each morning, whatever the weather, was to empty the slops down the toilet before filling a bucket with coal to get the fire going for a pile besides the toilet in the small backyard. One day, she came home from school to find workmen in the house, busy in the living room, hacking off the plaster. They were removing the living and dead bodies that were encrusted in the walls. Cockroaches had nestled in every wall in the house. They'd eaten their way into the bricks and mortar and bred there. An infestation of crawling black bodies living in the walls, whilst the family was going about their business living in the house. Earlier that year, she'd passed the 11 plus and gained a place at a local renowned college. It was Mum's choice on the form, and you could put down 3 choices. And her mum said she'd choose the first one, and then she'd allow you to choose the other 2. Mum had got her choice. Mostly girls from the posher side attended. Girls with clipped accents, not sounding Scouse at all. Girls who lived in semi-detached and even detached houses. How posh was that? Girls whose parents had cars and telephones. She walked to school each day from home. Otherwise, it would have meant waiting for 2 buses to get there. And by the time she waited, she could be there. One of her favourite subjects was art. In this week's class, Mrs. Carpenter, the art mistress, had told them that all their class had been chosen to be involved in a special project for the school. They were to make a collage entitled Nature. Once completed, it was to be displayed in the school entrance hall for Parents' Day the following month. Mrs. called them all together and explained that she made a list of things for them to bring in for the project. Things they could pick up easily outside their homes, in their streets on the way to school each day. They were to be brought to class the next week. She looked at the list. Leaves, it said, large or small, brown or green. Pine cones, large or small, not open or damaged. Acorns, small would be best. Horse chestnuts, sycamore wings. Where on earth would she find such things, she thought. She reflected on her journey to school each day, walked it through in her mind. From out of her house, she walked past the houses in her street, some well presented, mostly unkempt. Past number 27, Mad Joe's house. He boarded up the windows on the outside of the house with wood, and then covered the whole of the house with thick black tar, front door included. It must have been pitch black inside. The Cave's house, over the road, scruffy shell of a house, inhabited by Mr. and Mrs. Cave. She was on the game. He was always drunk. They were always shouting and arguing with each other, or anyone else in the street who looked at them. A few well-looked-after houses further down, inhabited by some standoffish people she didn't really know. And once she reached the end of the street, it was over the busy main road. Then down the street were the grander terraced houses, with steps up to the front doors and small gardens in the front. Then once she passed these, she went through the industrial area and onto the cobbled road with council flats, where she had to be on the lookout for kids who tried to take her linen boater in the summer or a corduroy beret in the winter. They'd grab her college scarf and then they'd give her a push in the back as they ran off laughing, calling out, "College pudding," or "School swat." Once she'd run this gauntlet, it was up the cobbled hill to the school gates, but not a tree in sight. She thought about the local park, just over the road from the house. Could she get the items there, she thought. There was a park. It was a stark piece of wasteland with a gravel drive and some bushes on one side and a parched green field in the summer and a wet, muddy marshland in the winter on the other. No oak trees or any type of trees, she thought. The park was a concrete playground with a cocky watchman who had the keys to the gates. Tried to avoid eye contact with him. He had a reputation for flashing at any female who looked his way. What a dilemma. How was she going to solve it? Without the embarrassment of not contributing to the nature college. Do that line again, sorry. The playground with a cocky watchman who had keys to the gates, who tried to avoid eye contact with any, as he had a reputation for flashing at any woman who looked his way. What a dilemma. How would she solve it without the embarrassment of not contributing to nature's collage? The following week in the art lesson, everyone was asking individually to produce their contributions. They were to start collage that day, and everyone was chatting and talking about the items they'd brought in. One by one, Mrs. Carpenter asked each girl for her contribution. When it got to her turn, she opened up her satchel and took hers out. She carefully wrapped it in last night's evening egg. Taken from, I've completely lost that. Sorry. I've got to say that if she's talking to a child, just the female bit, the flashing bit, it's like it's not.
Yeah, I know. These all things come out. No, I know.
It's not kind of relevant, is it, really?
Not really, no. But yeah, just continue on. I mean, it was all perfect up until then.
I know.
I'll just have to edit all of these bits out. But yeah.
I'll go from the park with a start bit of wasteland, and then you can just edit from that.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, sorry about that, Chase. The park was a stark piece of wasteland with a gravel drive and some bushes on one side and a parched green field in the summer and a wet, muddy marshland in the winter on the other side. There were no oak trees or any other types of trees, she thought. The park was a concrete playground with a cocky watchman who had the keys to the gates, who you tried to avoid eye contact with, as he had a reputation for flashing at any female who looked his way. What a dilemma. How was she to solve it without the embarrassment of not contributing to nature collage? The following week, in the art lesson, everyone was asked to individually produce their contributions. They were to start that day, and everyone was chatting and talking about the items they'd brought in. One by one, Mrs. Carpenter asked each girl for her contribution. When it got to her turn, she opened her satchel and took hers out. She'd carefully wrapped it in last night's Liverpool Echo, taken from the kitchen before it was ripped up into small squares and put in the outside lath for further use. She gently opened it, and small gasps could be heard from the other girls. Inside was a black, shiny carcass. One of the cockroaches she'd managed to salvage before it was brushed up and thrown onto the fire, along with all the other dead bodies. Now you go to sleep now, babes. Sweet dreams. Night-night.
Well, that was
All
really
right.
good. Very, very spooky and
So how?
a fabulous ending.
Well, not spooky, but creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? So, any kind of sight of a creepy crawly, and I'm under the bed. Oops, the creepy crawlies are under the bed, so I'm on top of the bed. Yeah.
The only time I really,
But yeah, no. Well done, Richard, for that one, and well done.
Yeah, the only time
I was just going to say well done to Francis.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well done, Francis. Yeah, so we're on to the next one, which I'm going to start.
Yeah, wait. Forget about the next one. Forget about the next one. It's not important. Let's just say I'm hoping people are enjoying the show, right? We got 3 more films, and I can't say we saved the best for last because that would degrade the other films. But this one happens to be written by our very own Sharon Copeman, and I don't think people should talk about themselves. You know what I mean? Because first of all, I was saying, Sharon, that her writing, really come on, and we've seen her work in these different compendiums and stuff like that. And she did that fantastic one with Pauline Daniels last month, Answer Phone Mom. And so once again, Pauline Daniels is delivering a Sharon Copeman script, and I will say it. This is really funny. And Pauline is doing a dual log with our very own Alex Lacey, or Sophia Lacey, who is a rising star of her own right. She just came back from working on a film.
Yeah,
she was just doing a horror film down in the Midlands.
Yeah, she's a really hot actress. I really like her. I really raise her. So.
Okay, you can say it. I can't. But the way you look at it, you put out 2 women. You put out 2 women into a clothing store with this particular script.
Yeah.
And everything. It's really funny. So let's get right down to it, so that way we can have everybody else experience a little bit. So this is For an Old Bird, written by Sharon Copeman, starring Pauline Daniels and Sophia Alex Lacey, and this is it. That's my signal.
Communal changing rooms in clothes shops. Just why? I don't want other women looking at my body making comments behind their hands to their friends. I'm going to have to save up for a boob job. I'm really conscious of how small they are. I think one's definitely bigger than the other. When they first started to grow, my brothers were really cruel. They always teased me. They nicknamed me Treasure. I thought it was sweet until I found out it was because they thought I had a sunken chest. Do you need a grid reference to find those tits of yours? Yeah, thought it was hysterical. I didn't.
I love the fashion in here. Of course, it's not designed for old birds like me. The girl behind the counter with the resting bitch face. She's looking at me as if I'm a bad smell. It's a free country. If I want to marvel at the latest trends and laugh at the new T-shirts with the slogans on, then I bloody well will. Nothing's in my size. Through the years, I've been pushed into frumpier and frumpier shops as my waistline expanded. I guess you're wondering that despite all this, I'm smiling. Well, I've only gone and found the perfect dress, and it's in my size too. Must have slipped past the fat police on the counter. Gold sequins, rounded neckline, and just on the knee. I don't like dresses right up to the neck. I do hope it fits.
I thought this would be my perfect little black number, but it shows up all my fat around my waist, whale blubber. How is it that my legs and arms are stick thin, but my stomach's so flabby? I hear tummy tucks are quite dangerous. I'll join the gym when I'm earning. An old woman has just walked in. She keeps looking over. I bet she thinks I'm repulsive.
I'm not keen on communal dressing rooms. I thought they'd gone out with the ark. I'm good at keeping discreet, though. All those group showers after PE at school. You learn to keep yourself to yourself. There's only one other person anyway, a young woman moaning about every slight flaw on her beautiful young body. I used to be just like her, never happy with what I had and what I saw in the mirror. I mean, I look back at photos of myself and think how stunning I was. But I wouldn't give to go back in time and give that young lady a piece of my mind. I'm proud of my body. We've been through a lot together. You can't keep the plastic on a new settee though, can you? I mean, some women think that they have to insert plastic into their bits they don't like. Right, fingers crossed this dress fits.
I used to like wearing short skirts. It made men look. I could feel their eyes following me up the street. My ex-boyfriend didn't like men looking at me. I told him that my legs were my best asset. He laughed. I mean, he really laughed and said that my knees looked like knots in string. I slapped him one. That was it for us. That one comment has made me worry about those men, that they were only looking because my legs looked so ridiculous. Knobbly knees. There's not much you can do about them except cover them up.
No one warns you when you get pregnant just how much of a hammering your body gets. I had 2 really big babies. I didn't get stretch marks. I rubbed cream into my burdened belly every night, and the pressure of carrying them, well, did give me varicose veins, though. They looked like the roadmap of Spaghetti Junction on Google Earth. After I'd breastfed both very hungry babies, well, they went south. Most of me's going south now. Gravity's getting its revenge from when my body defied it.
Oh, bless her. That old lady's trying that dress on. She's being all modest and making sure I don't see her. She's got a good set of pins on her for an old girl. I bet she was beautiful when she was young. Amazing bone structure. I wish I had cheekbones like that. My mum had good cheekbones. She'd never wear a dress like that, though. She went all leggings and big long tops. You know, when I was going through puberty, she was going through the menopause. She said odd things to me like, "You're the sun and I am the sad old moon." She became a mum going through the motions, washing clothes, making sandwiches, driving me to appointments. But the emotional mum, the one that looked on in pride and said, "You look so pretty," she disappeared. And I'm only just getting her back. Watching me about to start out in the world must have made her look at her own life like it was crawling into its final destination. Mum's got lovely lips. I take after Dad. Thin lips. You know, I could do with them lip fillers. Not so big that you look like those, sucker fish that clean the fish tank. Just a bit plumper. I don't know about those women though, that what they're thinking when they take surgery too far. There's an illness apparently. Body dysmorphia. That's it. I wonder if I'm coming down with it.
I had breast cancer 10 years ago. It taught me to be kind to myself and not to give a damn about other people's misplaced comments. I've stopped being harsh about the way that I look. Obviously, I still want to lose weight because, well, being overweight doesn't help your health. I've got a scar on the side of my left breast where they removed the lump, and one under my arm where they took out the lymph nodes. After all the treatment had taken its toll, and with me hair growing back all weird colour and curly, well, I knew I'd never be the same again. I really am a different person. I miss the old carefree me. The dress is on, but damn, the zip is at the back.
I've got the zip stuck in some material.
It doesn't matter how old you are, dress zips are a bloody nightmare. Your dress looks lovely, by the way.
Well, it would be if it hadn't imprisoned me. The zip's stuck on the way down. Can you help me?
Yes. If you wouldn't mind helping me zip mine up.
Sure.
Oh, I see. It's trapped right here. Got such a lovely figure. This one really suits you.
Oh, you're kidding, aren't you?
Oh, keep still. I've nearly got it. There you are. Free to go, madam.
Oh, thanks very much, police constable.
Now mine.
I wish my mum would wear dresses like that. You look boss.
Not too short.
No, you've got great legs.
For an old bird.
Well, I hope mine are good, that good at your age. Don't be too hard on yourself.
Listen to yourself. I could hear you criticising everything from your cheeks down to your knees. You're just like I was at your age. Now I can't go back and shout at myself for being so critical, but I can tell you what a beautiful young lady you are. You need to hold your head high.
Yeah, but...
Confidence makes you look more beautiful than any amount of plastic surgery. Shoulders back, chest out, and a big F you to anyone who tries to put you down. They say nasty things to deflect how bad they feel about themselves.
I'd still murder for your cheekbones, though.
And I'd love to have a figure like yours, but them's the cards we're dealt. Ah, this lovely dress. Where would I wear it?
Buy the dress. You'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah, I shall. That'll upset the fat police on the counter outside. Nice to meet you,
Jade.
June.
And thank you. I'll try it, you know, the chest out thing. You talk a lot of sense.
For an old bird.
Well, I mean, Sharon, the first response should be yours because this was just how did it feel to your work being displayed?
It was lovely, and the fact that they're both on different Zoom channels, it's amazing because they did actually look like they were talking to each other in a room and zipping each other up, and that's lovely. It's those little touches. It would be nice to have to put this one on stage so they can do all the changing into the different clothes. But it's the words came out really well, and it was really, it's sort of like a tribute to my friend Jan Smith, who spent most of the time looking in the mirror, looking at how terrible her legs were and how terrible her stomach was, and a little bit of me as well.
Well, that's what's real about it, though. Is like I love how the conversations were really honest, even though they were told that these were thoughts in their head, right? Like they're not actually talking to anybody, but this is what we say to ourselves, isn't it? So our worst critic is ourselves. So when she's talking about, oh, I'm so fat, I'm this, I'm that, and that, and then the other woman is like saying, oh, it's kind of like BDUIC, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A favorite line I like to use all the time. But well done on the script, and I mean, I thought it was very funny, and it also says something very poignant. So well done to you for that. So now we move into Sean Fitzgerald's script, In Search of an Author, or Not in Search of an Author. Sharon, help me out.
Yeah, it's character Not in Search of an Author.
Thank you.
It's a play on
a long title. Yeah, and but this was one of the kind of monologues that I felt was perfect by Jim, that often comes in to the Compendium with us, Paul Hiltz and everything, and he takes it to the hill. So our very own Cooler King, is doing this play by Sean Fitzgerald, a character not in search of an author, and everything. So I also gave it one of those effects as well, and everything like that. So well done. Let's cue it. Let's do it. Let's go to
Yeah,
it.
let's go for it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm gonna keep.
You may know me as Dave, Alan, Mike, or simply as Pete. A common name for a common man. You may have seen me in films such as Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, Before Monty, on the soaps like Coronation Street or EastEnders. You know who I am. That fella, the dodgy geezer, bit of a jack the lad. Always willing to help anyone with a favour. A soft lad, a plodder, a hod carrier. Never want to lead the pack, more the runt of the litter. Dispensable walk-on parts, good for a laugh. Always down the gym pumping iron, strutting me body in front of the lads. Sparring in the boxing ring, talking loud and shite with the best of 'em. Down the local park of a Sunday morning playing for me footy team. Arguing with the ref, taking a swing at the opposition. All good fun, ain't it? That's what it's all about. A laugh. You could be that YouTube fella, the one with the channel, Classic Pub Team Hours, recording players slipping in the mud or tripping over the ball and falling flat on their beer bellies. You never really see me for who I am. And that's the old problem, isn't it? You think, that's him, that prick who drives the white van, bullying everyone on the road, giving the end job sign. Or, who's he to be wearing top shelf designer gear as you walk past me in town? I can read your face, marking me down as a drug dealer. I admit, my judge, I like to dress to impress, keeping up with the market trends. Never out of fashion, me, like Sabutio. I could just be a regular guy, married with 2 kids who attend the local school. My girls' names could be Jasmine, India, Scarlet. For me boy, Atticus, Theodore, Jasper. The likes of me never bother to read Ofsted reports. Why waste your time competing to get them into a good school? With parents like us, what chance have they got anyway? Besides, they want to be with their mates. Without your mates, who are you? Come on, sing along. Who are ya? Who are ya? I love my kids. I'm supposed to say that. They are my world. I'd do anything for them. I am loyal to my wife. Her name could be Tracy, Sharon, Jackie, Sunbed Queen, the Royal Botox. As false as her nails. That's what it's all about. Family, as the refrain goes on EastEnders. Without family, you're nothing. Tomato sauce on the kitchen table, white bread, meat and 2 veg. I could have tattoos on my arm, the names of my dead parents. Salt of the earth they were, not a dishonest bone in their body. Firm, solid, proud members of the white working class. Oh, sorry, my mistake. You think my dad was an alcoholic wife beater, left his kids destitute when he walked off with the barmaid. Thing is, my mother was the breadwinner, worked 4 jobs, took a lot of grief without complaint, set up a women's action group, she did. Now, you don't believe that? Oh, I'm sorry, you caught me lying. My mother was a drug addict prostitute who had me put in care. Only God knows who I really am. Sees into me heart. God, where did he get in on the act? On the family holiday to Tenerife, Benidorm, caravan park in Ril? I could believe in God and take comfort in the Bible, but that wouldn't be right in your eyes, would it? I remain invisible and yet I exist everywhere. I've been indexed and catalogued based on my postcode, my age, occupation. Companies bombard me with rubbish, trying to sell me shit. All based on me internet shopping and the type of fruit I buy at Asda, Aldi, Home and Bargain, Pound Stretcher. Oh, did I say fruit? Again, I do apologise. I meant junk food. I only buy fruit for hospital visits. I don't have a loyalty card. I'm not expected to. But I do have a season ticket for my footy team. That is expected. Of course, being a common man, I like a few recreational drugs on the weekends with the lads. Captain Vody, brown sugar, scratch, ox. Take your pick from the druggy bag. And don't forget me gambling vice. Horses, dogs, online poker, darts. Whatever you want me to gamble on, I'm the man to flutter away his hard-earned cash. Hard-earned cash? You smirked. I'm a simple man of few words and expressions. I voted Brexit because of all the bloody foreigners coming into the country. I'm supposed to be uneducated, ill-informed about my choice of vote. Don't give the vote to the common people. They may use it wrongly. Or maybe I see through the bullshit and voted Remain. But don't let my vote and Remain contradict your prejudice. Do I work? What do you think? Oh, I know what you think. I con the system. Depression, anxiety, bad back. Claiming disability benefits while you work all the hours to subsidise my parasitical lifestyle. Your description, not mine. Oh, you think life dictates to us? That we are not in control of our fate? We are powerless. Who am I to change the world? I am your reality TV fodder. Chav Street, low-life Scrounger Street. My neighbours are all violent, drunk, drug addicts, unable to care for their brats. You see me laugh about how I cheat the welfare state, dodge the police. I can feel your rage and anger, and how I choose to be unemployed. I've read all your diatribes on Facebook about the likes of me. You think we're all alike, unlikable in our likeness. I am just a walking, talking, living embodiment of social disaffection. Now, that is a big sentence. Big words that can poke someone's eye out. Did I just swallow a dictionary? I'm not supposed to think in big words. You think I like nothing better than a scrap in a dodgy deal. I treat everything as a joke. A series of funny scenes from a BBC Three comedy. BBC Three? I thought I only watched porn, boxing, footy on Sky TV, on a dodgy illegal streaming box. Mr. Lowbrow, that is the tattoo on my forehead. What I want to know is, why you don't see the likes of us campaigning on the streets, waving placards, sounding off their fan horns, fighting the police, raging against the prejudice that we are as thick as pig shit and unsophisticated. Where are the banners? Who speaks for me? You know the answer.
Right. Well, that was Sean Fitzgerald's creation for Paul Taylor. Paul's a fantastic actor and really thinks about what he's doing. And he can be a bit of a perfectionist, as we found out this week, because it was touch and go whether we'd get it in the show. But I think it was worth. It was worth.
But then it was also well worth it.
It was
well worth it. I prefer somebody to kind of like go all the way down to the wire, as long as that you can trust that it's good. And the same thing happened with our last guy. But before, once again, I just want to give a shout out to Poptastic that's going on now over at Cross Street Studio 2. Of the division, become showcasing the artists that have been coming on Become the Radio too. Because what has been really great is that this is the first of many to start. Because like somebody's got to take the risk. Everybody's been talking theater. Everybody's been talking about there's no performance, and we're putting that out there. So please continue to follow us at Big Condo to find out what other events and everything else like that. And we also, starting, our writing course to set up to doing this film that we're putting together. So I don't want to say too much about it, but if you've been following, we are looking to do big things, and we're looking to do big things, sharing with our partners here at Make It Right. And we're just like, we're not going to let this, I'm not going to say government, we're not going to let people keep us down. We're going to stay creative. You know what I mean? And don't you think, Sharon? That's all.
We sort of have to thank the government because we've got some funding from them. So
Yeah, of
So,
course, we got to thank the government because we love them. I'm just saying.
yeah.
I'm just saying. Anyway,
But yeah,
I'm just
we.
saying. Um,
So I just need to mention that Sean, that wrote the last one, also has managed to get something submitted and accepted recently, and that's probably his first one that he's put out into the big wide world and got accepted. So I'm really chuffed for my writers this week. You know, it's nice seeing them come on and develop, and with our help, we're going to make sure that they can upskill even more. And
well, I mean, pretty much that's what we've been doing all this time, right? It's like
yeah,
they got tasks, they got projects, and then we're putting it out there. So we also continue to ask you guys to like and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube as well as Facebook, you can share it and like keep it going because we want the numbers to get higher than it was last time. You know what I mean? We want this to keep happening, you know, and we want to really do something. And so October, man, get down to the horror. So anyway, our last piece is written by another one of your new writers. Well, I can't say he's new now, but he was new when we were starting this. James Wallace, and everything like that. Wrote The Undying Truth. And, you know, like this piece, now, this is really a sensitive piece. You know, I thought, like, the first thing that came to my mind when I read this piece was Tom Cruise and Magnolia. And, you know, there had to be, like, a change in the character, and it had to be deep. And then I thought, well, listen, you know, it's fantastic. You know, like, as we talked about in the beginning, he's working on Clown's Delivery, Andy Lally. He's working for Sucker Punch Theater doing what, Bozo's Room?
But I don't know. I can't remember what they're calling it now. But it's
Okay.
Bojo's World or something like that.
Sharon, you have one job.
Yeah, I think it's
You have one
Bojo's
job,
World.
Sharon.
I have one job to remember,
Yeah.
to remember all the things. Remember everything. I've got one.
So
job.
anyway, Luke is usually doing a lot of comedy for us.
Yeah.
Delivers each and every time. So what I wanted to do was give him something where he can like tap into acting and his emotional skills. So I'm building this up really hard because it's the last piece. I put it at the last piece because it's I think it's really, really, really good. So this is Luke Morgan in The Undying Truth by James Wallace. And even though this is the last piece, just come back for our final wrap up, okay? All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Bye.
Time happened, but it didn't pass. Curtains closed. Tungsten bulbs glowing harshly from the ceiling fixtures, starkly illuminating their faces, equally as drawn and tired as my own. We existed in some strange, numb interzone. Two whole days the bedside vigil had gone on, until each of us, slowly, had retreated to the front room defeated, sitting in silence with the same glassy 1,000-yard stare, unable to find words to block out or even comprehend the strained death rattle from the room next door that stretched out endlessly, haunting our every moment. To see a man so broken, clinging so desperately to a life that had no hope left, had nigh unbroken us all. I'd been hanging desperately onto the same glimmer of defiance against the odds that I saw my grandmother, until the vicar arrived. He took in our glassy faces and the strained gasps from the room next door, and simply said, "Oh dear, I see." I went to administer his duties as I watched the last flicker of hope die in my grandmother's eyes. Yeah. He eventually died in the early hours of the next morning, as the rest of the family slept fitfully, exhausted. I was driving home, unable to stand the boiler pot of the inevitable any longer, fleeing the scene. I'd made a weak goodbye, with vague promises of seeing them again in the morning, knowing full well the lie I was trying to sell myself. Even after so many hours of contemplating the inevitable and hating myself for it. His only company in the end, a volunteer sitter, who'd only even become aware of his existence half an hour before his final tortured wheeze. What a shambles. If the great game doesn't get us by mischief, is this how we're destined to go? Such an ignominious end, devoid of dignity, shitting our pants and clinging desperately to a world that no longer sees us as relevant, simply because we're too scared of what comes next. Witnessing our loved ones stare back into the same abyss as we gasp our last breath. No. I won't accept that. I can't accept that. Despite my own cowardice, my flight from the preordained. I will not let this man go silently into the night. My grandfather was not a rich man. He was not a famous man. But he was a giant to me. The man who taught me every practical skill I know. A father figure when my own had fled his responsibilities for booze and loose women. A man cut down in his prime by conditions that the doctor said should have killed him in 20 years. Yet he went to live on another 50. Each day in greater pain, but quietly endured in an effort to ensure his family wanted for nothing. This is not a great man. And I challenge you, I dare you, to claim that this man was less worthy or less relevant than Caesar or Napoleon or Churchill or any other man of substance the history books may deem worthy to note. Because to me, he stands amongst those giants. And as long as my unconsciousness persists in this strange plane, that will be my undying truth.
That was really, really compelling. Really, really compelling.
You know, I mean, like I mean, you know, I really wanted him to go there, and he still went there, and he still was emotional. And this is what I'm just trying to say is well up to all the actors who performed tonight, all the writers who had delivered scripts and everything. And remember, if you happen to have a story that you want to tell, you know, let us know. Maybe you'll end up in the drop-in. You know, end up in the drop-in. End up at the Compendium. Yeah. It would help if you went to the. It would help if they went to the drop-in, though, right, Sharon? It would help if they went to the drop-in. Tell people when the drop-in meets, Sharon. Tell people when the drop-in meets.
It helps if they come to the drop-in because we meet 7 o'clock on a Thursday night on Zoom, and if you go to the Make It Right Facebook page, all the information is at the top of the page. All I need is your email address and you're in basically. So the reason why it's fantastic to come is because actors read out your work and writers and the actors will critique it, so that you can go away and edit it and make it a fantastic piece, and then you can submit it to the Compendium. We do take scripts from outside the drop-in, but if they're not good enough, we won't take them, and you know we work really hard at polishing up these scripts, so that they're beautiful and shiny when they come on with the actors.
And also too is hopefully if you've been watching the Compendium, being that this is the third one, is that we really try to endeavor to make the actual story or monologue or duologue into a filmic type of piece.
Yeah.
So I mean, really work hard to do that. You know, so it's important, really, you know, like to work with us to help to achieve those goals. So it's like if you think about Ted Grant is driven, you know, to actually go into a car to shoot that scene, I think made the scene much more compelling. You know, I know that we're on lockdown.
Yeah, I love the.
I just was saying, I know.
I love the beautiful knife. I love the beautiful knife in Butcher's Boy and Lou's eyes focused on that. So yeah, it was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think that, you know, let's all get imaginative, man. You know, let's not be down. Let's you know, keep our creative juices flowing. Let's make stuff. You know, let's make stuff and be creative. And you know, and that's hopefully will us at Big Condo Academy, you and Make It Right, working in collaboration together. We are like hoping to, you know, form more creative opportunities for more people. And so I'll let you go. It's after 9. You might turn into a pumpkin. You never know. All I know is I got a lamp. So I'm like the lamp from The Boys. If you're not watching The Boys, watch The Boys. Okay, anyway, Sharon, I'd like to thank you tonight.
That's great.
And then
I love doing this. So, yeah.
And I'd like to thank our man Blake and the Brew for directing all of this.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean? I mean, this is not just Skype. This is not just Zoom. This is something that takes technical directing. So I'd like to thank our man Blake Emery for guiding us through this once again.
Yeah.
So, that's us. We're out of here. Pop Taxi is still going up to 10 o'clock tonight.
Yep.
All right. I said it. That's all. Go ahead, Sharon. You get the last word because I think I'm cutting you off.
No, I don't know what to say now. I did have something. I did have something more to say, but who cares?
Bye.
It's the end of the Compendium. That's all. And
okay.
I know. Mandy Lally's film is up next month in the Compendium. Written by Ted Gray, Clown Delivery. We've got Luke and Duncan and Mark and several other.
And you better watch because he fell off the trolley.
Yeah, and he's got a bruised bum. All right. Yeah. Bye, everybody.